Good evening and welcome to your favorite program, the University of the West Indies and You. This third Thursday in the month of March took some time to come, but we are on cue and we are already looking forward to the third Thursday in April. But before we get there, we have three local tutors for a program or programs or courses that we are running at the Open Campus site. And I'm telling you, not only they have gotten, and they probably had that for the first time, some very high rating for the level of teaching and more so the quality of the teaching and the programs or courses that they are impacting on the Dominican public. It is our continuing effort at the University of the West Indies Open Campus to increase, you may say, productivity. So we are focusing very much on what is described as, and is mandated by the University of the West Indies Open Campus, continuing professional education, CPE for short. And that forms a special section within the Open Campus headed by Dr. Ian Austin, who is the Deputy Director for that thrust. And it is the way I think the University of the West Indies Open Campus is going and will continue to go, because there is a need, a genuine need for continuing professional education. While you work, you want to improve on your skills, etc. And you need to attend the University of the West Indies Open Campus when we run those programs, because you will find out it has been beneficial to a large number of students. Let's have a word from our sponsors.
I'm part of a tough, smart,
constantly evolving,
never too old to learn community of human beings.
proud of country,
Proudly Caribbean, global citizens.
with convenient access to over 400 learning programs
Delivered both online and face-to-face.
from the Caribbean's University of First Choice.
My mind,
My life.
my world of possibilities is wide open.
Call, click, or visit the UWI Open Campus.
Yeah, we usually ask our guests to introduce themselves. I haven't made mention of any names, so they will have to do this and tell us all about them. What qualifies them, you may say, to be tutors at the University of the West Indies Open Campus. One, however, among us is a long-time campaigner. You will know him when you see him, no matter how small he is in terms of physique. But I also have a short one. And these are the two males. I haven't described the rows between those two. But let's start to my immediate left. And a graduate of UWI. Tell us about yourself, sir.
Okay, I'm Joseph Isaac. I'm an industrial engineering graduate of New Mexico State University. I also a business professional. I graduated from Georgia State University with a master's in business administration. I'm a practicing entrepreneur, and I've been involved in lecturing part-time at UWI since 1998, for this, so a long time now, practicing, and actually tutoring at UWI.
Yeah, Joseph Isaac. He didn't tell you more about himself, but you asked to remind, and I'm not in any way promoting him, because I vote in his constituency, you may say. But he should have said he's a budding politician representing, I think, the Roseau Central, is it?
Yes, Roseau
That's
Central.
where I vote. So you better do well if you want to convince me, sir. Let's move on to that beautiful lady between you two fellas.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Erma Lee Thomas. I'm actually a graduate of Clark University in Worcester, Massachusetts. My background is business and also technology information. I'm also a certified project management professional, I'm also a technical project manager and at the same time consulting on the side in terms of running projects. So.
And you may say Erma Lee was a find. I'm telling you it was. I think I spoke with someone who worked at, where was it? At this was young man who worked there before as CEO, Mr. Knight.
NDFD?
NDFD. And I spoke with Mr. Defoe, who told me, look, we have a lady from Calabishi, or living in Calabishi. Are you born in Calabishi?
No, I'm not. I'm actually from Grand Bay.
You're from Grand Bay?
I'm from Grand Bay.
Grand
South
Bay,
City.
but you're also based in Calabishi?
Yes.
Okay, and also in Roses?
Yes.
Mixed.
I have 3 homes.
Three homes. But I found her in one of those homes. It was in Calabishi. We spoke and was ever so keen to do what she's doing. You realize none of them have said what they're doing at UWI in terms as local tutors, but from what Isaac said, he is involved in something called entrepreneurship, if you want the French connotation. But Erma Lee is in project management. Both of them hinted at what they do and their expertise. Should I also tell you, now that I remember that Mr. Isaac is a baker and sandwich maker. So that tells the whole world, including Dominica, about you, Joseph Isaac. Now, I spoke of somebody slim, and that's all I can say about him. He'll have to introduce himself.
Good evening, my name is Thomas Holmes, and I am the tutor for, no, first of all, I'm a guidance counselor. I'm graduated at the Memorial University of Newfoundland some years ago, and then recently at Bristol University, where I got my master's in guidance and counseling. And this is a favorite subject of mine because I've been also involved in teaching a master's program at the UWI level from 2001. And presently I'm doing a new course at UWI called Introduction to Counseling.
That's it, yes. Mr. Holmes?
That's it for now.
Good. Throughout the program, I expect you to counsel all 3 of us. Providing
just say the word and I'll do
that will remain on the ground in our discussions.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there it is. 3 tutors because the University of West Indies Open Campus Dominica site being asked, like all the 42 sites in the Open Campus, that the 4th campus of the University of West Indies, we have been asked to increase our portfolio on what is described as local courses that will help professional development of people in our jurisdiction, if you want to use a legal term, but at our sites. And Dominica embarked in this 2nd semester with 3 courses because we got feedback from the population that this is very much needed. And to show that need, it exceeded our expectations. That is, for example, Erma Lee is working with Mr. Vidal, who is actually a graduate of Kurt Vidal. He works down, I think, at Ross University, but he is a graduate of the University of the West Indies, and project management is also his expertise. And between these 2, they have some 84 or thereabout, 88 students or people, grown-ups. Some grown-ups don't like to be called students. Even if the word connotes that you are young, I would very much like to be called a student all my life. That keeps me at the tender age of, in the 30s. But, Erma, and I think there are some 30 doing counseling, or
32.
32 introduction to counseling, and some 21 for entrepreneurship. So those 3 CPE courses that we introduced have borne fruits, and it is just this evening I was at a function hosted by the Dominica Olympic Committee, and to be approached by a student and say, look, I am doing one of your 3 courses. I think it was an entrepreneurship, but whatever it was, I think the public has responded to what is taking place at the University of West Indies, and I hope they'll continue. Let me quickly say that come the second semester of the academic year, 2014-2015, we will be offering those 3. And if we can add more, that's more the merrier. But in the first semester, that is in September, we are going to be looking at other courses to be run along the same lines. And when we develop these continuing professional courses, there will be associated credits up to 24 that one can gain with time. Having said all that, what I would ask of each of you, what is entrepreneurship about, Mr. Isaac?
Well, entrepreneurship is really, I would say, the study of how people take ideas and through innovation and creativity, convert those ideas into business ventures to either make money for just a living or to make money for a business enterprise. You know, so you have entrepreneurs who are people with ideas who just, they do it and they do it for survival. You know, and then you have a deliberate action by somebody to have an idea and actually create a product or a service in the context of a business, either a small business, medium, or large business, but it would obviously start small, micro, and then grow. You know, and we talk about micro because of, let's say, for example, the level of revenue and the number of staff you have. So usually entrepreneurs start with small groups or an individual, and then they build from there and grow, you know. So it is important to study it and to actually train people in it so that people can better plan and better implement and execute their idea in a project management way, you know? So it really, again, is really the implementation of projects also to make money, you know?
Make money?
Yeah, to make money.
Does venture capitalists fit into that?
Well, yeah, a venture capitalist, for example, can get involved in helping finance an idea, you know, moving the idea to a service or product, you know, so that's where you have venture capitalists. So, for example, to actually make the idea move into the product or service, you can either go to a bank, you could go to your family and friends, you could go to a venture capitalist, or you could use your own personal funds. And a venture capitalist really is somebody, what they actually do, they look for where they have opportunities and help finance to get the growth so they can get a rapid return.
And that has nothing to do with loan sharking?
No.
Mafia?
No.
Venture capitalist is a respectable profession.
And it's a good word. Good words. Money. Yes.
And what you said?
These are good words, not bad words, not negative words.
Yes. There are several of them around the world.
Yes.
Some of them are very much involved in project management, and I'm referring to Ms. Lee now.
Yes.
Tell us about project management, and don't use the whole gamut.
Okay.
If it's like Mr. Isaac, who is a businessman, you know, and he's bent on making money. So if you are also, let us know.
Well, project management is also bent on making money, but it's how you make it, how you manage it.
Okay.
So project management is the skills and tools that you would use to run projects, whether it is baking a pie, whether it is, you know, building a school, constructing new roads, building a hospital. Those are all type of projects. What has been done in the past is organizations have had projects that they have run, and it hasn't been successful because there wasn't a standard in place back then. But now, in the 20th century, things have changed where they've realized that standards and rules and regulations has to be in place. There has to be templates, there has to be guidelines in terms of running projects so that the business can be successful. So project management is the application and tools and techniques in delivering the project deliverables that's required for business to operate successterly. So as an entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, that's actually a project on its own.
Yes.
Because you have to go through the phases.
I agree.
In terms, and the end product will be that business.
Nice.
That's going to be successful.
I agree.
So those two go hand in hand.
Yes.
So.
Basically, you are giving Joseph Isaac some tools here.
Yes.
to probably improve his business. That is free of charge.
Yes.
Please, not on the program. Send your bill to him after the program. Yes. But that is very interesting. It's almost like two birds in a nest. Project management, entrepreneurship. Hi, that's so close.
Yes.
But we will explore a little more about it, and probably Mr. Isaac will live here with more ideas because he keeps concurring with you in everything that you said. Yes, but I think probably at the back of his head, I can make more money.
Yeah.
I will consult this lady. Mr. Holmes, we need counseling for these two. And
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Because
what is counseling about?
Okay. First of all, what I want to say is that the counselor will help the two, make the money
To
and
make
then
money
use it
consciously.
wisely, and then cope with whatever amount of money they have
Yes.
by using it wisely.
So are they usually troubled after they've made all that money?
Sometimes if they have too much or not, and they don't know how to use it, then they
Yes.
can be troubled.
Yes. So
And then they have to bring the money to the counselor so that they can help them.
Mr. Holmes wants part of the pie.
Definitely.
Tell us what introduction to
Okay.
counseling is.
Introduction to counseling is really sensitizing people about the use of counseling. Why is counseling important? And it is a way of helping people. In counseling, we have what we call the counselor or the therapist, and then we also have the client or the counselee. And then we usually refer to the client as the expert. Some people may think that the counselor is the trained, qualified person, but actually the client is the expert. Why? Because the client is the one who has the problem or has the situation and they know all about it. All the counselor does is to help the client, guide the client to have a better life, to help the client cope with whatever he or she is going through, whatever difficulties. And sometimes you're talking about money, but sometimes people have money, they don't know how to spend it properly or wisely, and then they may get themselves into trouble. So the counselor will help the person look at life. How do you enjoy your life? And then somebody say, well, I have a lot of problems, I cannot enjoy my life. So the counselor is there to help provide the skills, to help them live a more fully interesting life that they can enjoy, and then they'll be satisfied with what they're doing. And then further, what the counselor does is look at the different issues that people are faced with. You see, for example, all around the world, we have many issues. Take, for example, you're talking about the missing jet. Far away. There are many people who want people to talk with them, comfort them and so on. And then when you talk about comfort, you're not talking about sympathize, you're talking about empathizing with the people. Right here in Dominica, we're hearing things about children, about child abuse, we're hearing things about murder, we're hearing all those issues. These people, these clients need counselor to talk with them to help them understand what is going through in their lives, how they can better their lives. And then all they need is for the counselor to provide the skills for these clients. Yeah.
So essentially, I don't know if I'm correct, but what you have said almost sounds like a counselor guides.
Yeah.
But you made mention that the client is the one who feels the pain and knows what's happening inside.
Yeah, usually
is the expert.
Is the expert because they know what they're going through.
Yes.
Because one of the things we have in counseling is a client may tell you do not understand, and it's really true. We do not understand what somebody is going through. That's why when you look at like in Rogerian counseling, we have what we call the core conditions. We have congruence, and we have UPR, and then we also...
You're using language, UPR,
unconditional positive regard.
Unconditional?
Positive regard.
Yes.
And then you have congruence or genuineness, where you accept the person for who they are. You cannot go on and you impose your own values on the person. And then the third one is the empathy, where it's like putting yourself in the person's shoes.
Yes.
And one of the things I usually do at the very beginning of counseling is I usually look at somebody with a big shoe size and one with a smaller shoe size, ask them to exchange. The one with the smaller shoe size is all right, but then it's very big shoe to fit in. Whereas the one with the big shoe size is going to be very difficult to fit in that small shoe size. And then you just tell the person, think of it. How can you fit in somebody's shoes? You cannot be somebody else.
Empathy.
Yeah.
It sounds almost, Mr. that you're talking of Calypso. I used to remember as a young boy. Tennis shoe tongue.
Exactly.
Huh? You come with your big foot and
Yes.
see how you
You
burst
burst
down
down
the
the-
base of my tennis shoe tongue.
But again, if you do not know what you're doing. By the way, with counseling, you have to know what you're doing.
Yes.
Because you can cause more damage than anything if you do not know.
Yes.
Because if you go to somebody, try to help the person and you do not know what you're about, then you
You
can
do
cause
more
more
damage.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, but you made mention, we are getting some counseling here, and I'm so happy for that. But you made mention of two terms, empathy and sympathy, when you made reference to the plane that has gone missing. And it's certainly not in the Bermuda Triangle.
I don't
Maybe
think so.
in the Indian, Malaysia, Vietnam, China triangle, I don't know, to just name a few in that region. But if it is confirmed that people are dead, then we have to move from empathy to sympathy.
Yeah, but even now, because I was watching the news throughout, and then this morning I think they said they identified something that could be a clue.
Yes,
you know,
the Australians.
Now, just think of the people because they're not sure what's happening. So right away they said there's a clue in the sea. So that means the jet may be, in the bottom of the sea. So it's at one time they said we are not sure. It could be on land. If it is on land, that means the loved ones may be alive. Right. But if you see that it's in the bottom of the sea, it's a different thing as you're talking about the sympathy. But even this, we cannot sympathize all the time with them. We have to empathize, let them understand that we are going through a tough time.
Yes.
And that's where the empathy comes in.
Yes.
With the sympathy, oh, I'm sorry, don't cry. And then we have to stop, there. Because when somebody dies, you can't tell the person don't cry. You have to let the person, really, like for example, St. Martin's Secondary School, the students are going through a tough time.
Yes.
It is really like a family. St. Martin's Secondary School is a family. The death of Mr. Menz,
Yes.
And then we had a program this morning in the memory of him. And then the entire school was affected. Then that is where you see the empathy, because every student will tell you that he was like a father to me. The teachers, he was like a brother, even like a father to them too.
So, Mr. Holmes, what you are in effect telling us, we will go through some aspects of your introduction to counseling course taught at the University of the West Indies. That it's so wide.
It is.
And we're talking here about people when we talk of counseling and, as you say, shaping and helping to shape their lives, guide their lives to be more wholesome and to live fruitful lives.
Exactly.
Does the project manager, Ms. Lee, do that sort of thing? And
Well, the project manager...
What is entailed in a program that you are teaching now in project management? What are the aspects of project management?
Well, the aspects of project management involves teaching the professional.
You can probably give us topics, headlines, and we could develop with time.
Well, there's different phases of a project. A project goes through several phases. There's usually about 5 of them, from initiation to closeout.
Yes.
That's
Well, take us through the 5.
So,
Initiate.
in initiation, this is where the project starts in terms of whether it is a sponsor or a customer brings a product to you and say, well, I would like to do this.
Yes.
During the initiation phase, usually, discussions are going on in terms of should we do this project.
Yes.
Then you go into, once you decide that you're going to do the project, then you're going to go into planning phase. During your planning phase, this is where you gather your team, because you're going to need your team, you're going to need money, and based on the scope of what's involved, you're going to review the scope and then define it further in what we call requirements.
Yes.
From there, once you have all of those details in place, you move into, okay, I have my folks, I have a timeline in mind, I have some money, I have what the requirements are, now I'm ready to execute, and that's what you call execution phase. And in execution phase, whether it is building a road, obviously you're laying down the foundation, during that time, colas is going on, cement, those type of things are going on. That's the execution phase. Then you have a phase where you call monitoring and controlling. Yes. Remember, as a project manager, you need to ensure that they've handed you the money, the resources, and the schedule, and obviously the scope. You have to make sure that you manage all of those things. So that's where the monitoring and controlling comes in place. where you have to ensure
That's
that
step 4.
That's step 4, right? Where the money are being spent accurately, where the deliverables are on schedule, and it is what the client wants.
Where money is being spent, you don't necessarily have to be an accountant to be involved in project management.
You don't.
Okay.
You don't have to be an accountant, but you have to understand what the scope is and the money that is tied to it.
So there's financial management, yes?
Within that. So that's the monitoring and controlling, and then you have to ensure quality is in place, because at the end of the project cycle, you have to ensure it's either a quality product or service that you're going to deliver. This is the 4th phase. The 5th phase is actually closeout. This is at this point, everything is wonderful. There are no issues. Money was spent accurately. The schedule was fine. The resources were going good. You're ready to close now. During the closeout, this is what you call project closeout. In project closeout, obviously the client will let you know whether they were satisfied or not with the deliverables, and then there's some admin stuff that you do during closeout in terms of if you had a vendor from the outset, you have to close out your contracts. You sit down with your team, discuss what they call lessons learned. You say what went well, what went bad. Okay. So that for future projects, you take that information and make it better.
Okay.
And that's
just
what you go close out.
Enlighten me. 5 phases. Which of these phases is the most crucial or critical?
Critical is the planning.
The planning.
The
I
planning.
Like
the
and
planning
with the planning, I would like to think there is a lot of risk in project.
Yep.
Do we address risk management?
In planning. During your planning phase, at this point is where you defining your scope.
Yes.
You identifying the risk.
Yes.
Whether it's internal or external.
Yes.
And it's not just identifying the risk. You also you need to put up a plan as to how you're going to mitigate those risks and how you're going to deal with them and how you're going to monitor them. So planning is the most crucial part, because at that point you need to understand exactly what work is going to be delivered and how you're going to deliver it and the quality of it.
So we are about the 10th week, I would think, of project management that you're doing, and you are taking the students through all those steps and probably dissecting them, each of them, and all the components within there, so that they are, as the counselor said, more wholesome at the end in terms of project management. Now, I would like to ask the businessman and the entrepreneurship, because he went through phases to become an entrepreneur. We want to know, Isaac, I don't want to know how much money you have. I would like to, because Joseph Isaac was once my student, and happy to tell you he's much more wealthier than I am, because he has nurtured ideas and has been bold, as he has always been, as an athlete too. You were 800-meter runner, always bold and aggressive in achieving a goal. And nothing stops Joseph Isaac. Joseph Isaac, what does the entrepreneurship course entail? But I'm looking at the clock, and you will not have time, and I have to be fair to all the panelists, to give equal time to each. Joseph Isaac, when the break comes, which is in about a minute, you will have to tell us, so get your ideas together, because I really want to know what it is that made Isaac, much younger than me, so very rich. And he describes himself as a professional entrepreneur. Is there a stage you move after being an entrepreneur?
Well, when I said professional business person, for example, somebody could go study medicine.
Yes.
So you could go to study business. So in that context, I would say you're a professional business person.
So when you have mastered the art of entrepreneurship.
No. Entrepreneurship, no.
No, before you will tell me what entrepreneurship is. I'll give you a chance. You're too quick to make money. You'll have to tell us the routes that you take. Yes. And I'm going to compare you to a businessman that I've always admired from Newtown. Not in your constituency, in the South constituency, that is Suki.
Yes.
And Suki is a graduate of the Dominica Grammar School. And I've always felt proud.
And I am too.
And he may tell you he never went to university like you, and he has been quite a successful entrepreneur. I hope you all will invite him as lecturers to one of your courses to tell you how it works. Let's take a break for our sponsors. Who else? The University of West Indies.
I'm part of a tough, smart,
Constantly evolving.
never too old to learn community of human beings.
Proud of country.
Proudly Caribbean, global citizens.
With convenient access to over 400 learning programs
Delivered both online and face-to-face.
from the Caribbean's University of First Choice.
My mind,
My life.
my world of possibilities is wide open.
Call, click, or visit the UWI Open Campus.
Yeah, Joseph Isaac. I mean, I wasn't getting at my dear friend Joseph Isaac, but you thought I was thinking that he's rich in terms of money. If I know Joseph Isaac, he usually scratches his head with his rich in ideas. So that is what I was referring to. He's much better in ideas as entrepreneur.
Yes,
so
yes,
tell us,
yes.
what is this? What is the structure of the course that you're teaching,
Yeah.
etc.? What it entails?
Well, the first thing we look at and we talk to the students about, and even if you're talking to the general public in regards to people who are interested in entrepreneurship, the first thing is you might have many different ideas. So you narrow down on one or two of the ideas. So you say, oh, I want to sell some clothes and make some money. You say, okay, I have some coconut at the back of my yard, so I want to do some business out of it. I think I can maybe do either tablet or coconut cheese. I say, okay, well, I have another idea. I think I can go to the beach, collect shells, and make some nice jewelries for tourists. So we look at those ideas. And then what we do from the ideas, you say, okay, these are the list of your ideas. You need to do a basic feasibility analysis. And what it is we do, and we try to explain that, you do, I would say, a technical feasibility, meaning that, can you do it or not? Right. Do you have the ability to make the coconut cheese or the tablet? Do you have the skills and the ability to be able to make, let's say, the necklace out of the shells by the beach, etc., and etc.? Then that is in terms of the technical feasibility. Also, technical feasibility could be, will you be able to get or collect enough shells by the beach to make enough jewelry to sell to the tourists? To be profitable. As my colleague was saying, what is the scope of your business? You know, in the context of project management. Then you move now to financial feasibility. So, okay, as we were saying, in terms of the scope, in terms of raw material, access, in terms of ability to do the job, etc., do you have the ability to make a profit in that business? So what you do, you crunch some fast numbers, say, okay, how much would I make in terms of revenue? Approximately how much would it cost me? Or how much in terms of my labor costs, my expenses, my raw material, etc. And you run a fast thing. And you compare the revenue, which is the sales, versus the total expense. So let's say when you look at the sales, you see there's a potential to make, let's say, $25,000, and the expense look like as if it's $10,000. So there's ability to make a $15,000. So you say it's financially feasible. Okay. Then in that now also, even maybe before the financial analysis, you needed to do a market feasibility. Yes, I want to make coconut cheese or I want to make the jewelry, but is there a demand? And what is the level of demand? Now, having established that and you figure in the 3 ideas you had, you pick one and you decide, okay, I'll go into coconut cheese and tablet. Then you start doing...
I should remind the listeners, Joseph Isaac is from Roseau, so he keep referring to tablets. I hope you know what he's referring to. We may call it in a global sense, sugar cake with coconut.
Nice.
Yes?
Nice.
Right?
Yes. So
because tablet,
yes.
Joseph, as a businessman, you know,
yes.
it refers to the palm, the
yes,
iPad.
Yes.
And
we don't want people to confuse
the Kindle
that.
and this thing.
Nice.
We do not want Joseph just going to make tablets like
or we'll change it and we'll say
Apple does.
Or we'll say coconut sweet treats or pleasures or whatever.
Sweet treats. Okay.
Treats. Nice.
So as an entrepreneur, you have to get the name right.
Yes.
The concept.
Yes. Well, again, so now you have
perhaps your marketing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
because
then
you couldn't market tablets in say the
United States. So you have to understand your market.
No, you call it sugar coated coconuts.
Nice. So and you come up with a nice name.
Sugar cookies.
Yes, nice. So again in the program, we have a whole section where we deal with the whole issue of the market, segmenting the market, and actually, for example, coming up with a proper name, a brand name, a company name and a brand name to establish, as you said, based on the market. If you say coconut versus tablet, it might mean something completely different. And there's a classic example where nouveau meant in a market cannot drive, and an auto company named a transport nouveau in a market where it meant cannot drive, and that crashed the product.
Wow.
So we teach them how to develop the brand name.
And nouveau may also mean in France new.
So it depends on which
Yes,
market
the
you
name,
are in. Yes. So then we go through now. So having done that, we make them go through the same project life cycle approach of evaluating the project idea, evaluating the market, because in each segment of operations, marketing, and in finance, you can see them as sub-projects in the business itself. So that's what we do. So we also try to explain in terms of marketing, how do you go about marketing? Look at issues of branding, promotion, marketing in regards to how do you look at the place where you are, your location,
What
the place,
people respond
the people, etc. So you look at that in regards to marketing. In regards to the finance, as I said, you look at, let's say, your profits, your return on the investment, etc., etc. And then now, in operations, you'll try to at least focus on, depending on what type of business, what are your things are you going to, we call them performance indicators. What are you going to be measuring to know that you are doing successful in whatever business that you choose? So in a nutshell, we look at the feasibility. We look at how do you market the product or service. We look at how do you source the financing, and I spoke about that earlier, in regards to what level of loan you take versus the equity you put in, and how do you access that. We look at also the location of your business relative to the market, and we look at the entire, we call it the value chain or supply chain, the ability of your company to access all the different things in the chain of making that product to bring it to the customer. We look at that entire gamut of things.
And encompassing all that, as Ms. Lee said, was the quality.
Yes, so you look at also,
you put out,
yes.
You may have an idea, you may have a product to buy and sell or what have you, but then ultimately your survival will depend on the quality.
So you always look at quality, cost, you know, these key things, and the time to deliver back again to project management approach to entrepreneurship.
So ultimately what you are saying that to be an entrepreneur, you must have some sense of project management, because it's really a project.
Yes. And also, even to be an entrepreneur, as you move with the idea into product and services that customers are buying, sometimes you alone cannot do it. So you need to have also skills of counseling your team. So you need to have, we call it management skill, personnel management skill, to encourage, to motivate, etc., your team to get the job done. So really entrepreneurship, and I just wanted to correct that, an entrepreneur does not necessarily mean that you have to go to university. In fact, most of our successful entrepreneurs in Dominica did not go to university. So if we are looking for our top maybe 5 entrepreneurs in Dominica, they did not go to university. So going to university is not a prerequisite to success as an entrepreneur.
Well, I, like you, went to university, and I have always maintained that what university does, it helps you to think.
Nice.
But beyond that, there are, as you rightly said, some successful entrepreneurs. If you think of E.A. Charles, I don't think he has been to university, neither has Suki
or Annette
Sentile. We can mention
Venus.
Yes. It doesn't mean,
Macmillan.
It doesn't mean, and I know you have to take what Mr. Isaac, and I'm supporting, says with a little pinch of salt.
Yes.
It puts me out of work if you don't come to the university. So I think in the 21st century, there will be also a thrust for an entrepreneur to have learn how to think. You may say, go to a university.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean that if you don't go to a university that you can't be an entrepreneur, but it is like you are.
But as I said, it is not a prerequisite to success. But you need to do everything that would help you to be successful.
Yes.
And formal training, for example, at UWI or any other learning institution, will help complement and increase your chances of success.
So, there you have it. Why aren't you attending one of those 3 courses? You've heard the free tutors, and what I'm going to ask of them is what impact has it had? What is the sort of feedback they get from students with what they do? I can start with you, Erma.
The feedback has been great. I have about 42 students within my class, and their background is diverse.
Diverse. Yes.
I mean, we have from construction to the government to finance to education, so it's very diverse. And the feedback I'm getting back is they've actually started applying what we've learned on the job. In terms of one of the things they've remembered, at least one thing that they truly remember, that I keep reminding them that as a project management is a discipline, and you have to hone that discipline and keep to it. And that 90% of what they're going to be doing is communicating as a project manager. That's what they're going to be doing. So they've started back in their workplace applying some of those skills that we've been learning, whether it is the further getting clarification on what the scope is, or whether it is, in terms of time management, trying to manage your time effectively, or the other side of it, like we said, we have to motivate. As a project manager, you have to motivate your team. And your team are the one that's going to deliver the product for you. It is not a one-man show. It is a team effort. So, the feedback has been great. They've been using the skills. They've been running some projects themselves, and they've been applying, some of the tools that we've been discussing. So,
is there difference between project management and another buzzword? Because those professional things of project management and program management. What is the difference?
Program management is program management is over project management in terms of large organizations have what they call a program management office, where that particular office runs several projects. So program management is actually the umbrella. The umbrella is a collection of projects that an office would execute.
Oh, so we could, in an office, segmented or divisions, there are several projects that are going on.
Right.
But superseding that would be a program unit, program management unit.
And usually large organizations like, you'd see like Citibank, Chase, they have program management office because remember, they expand globally.
Yes.
So they have, probably thousands of projects going on at one time, and they need these program management office to be able to understand what is going on within the whole company, where things are, look at the impacts of all these different projects. Are they coinciding? Look at the risk, look at the quality, those type of things. So.
Well, you're giving me ideas. I'm supposed to be the program officer at the University of the West Indies. So I already have the word program in front, and hence officer. And it makes sense because what we refer to as programs. So for example, you're doing a B.Ed in literacy, or B.Ed in history, or B.Ed in what have you. But within that program, and even some students don't understand that, there are several courses.
Right.
And you may have, in our case, e-tutors and coordinators for each course. But the whole then, after a period of time, 3 years, you have actually done a BSc or B.Ed or MSc program. Right. So that makes sense. So you now know it, because we wanted to do this, not only project management, and I'm eyeing Miss Lee, probably in the first semester next academic year, we may have to look at program management, a step up, you may say, from project management. So all those who are attending now, you can expand your scope to look at programs as opposed to what you're doing now, project, and others can join. Mr. Holmes, right? Are they counseling, or is that therapeutic? What both Isaac and Miss Lee have said.
Oh, definitely.
It is.
Because somebody listening to them, can really say, well, I don't really have to go to university, but I had to upgrade myself in the thinking aspect.
Yes.
But at the same time, I can help myself by, if I had, the economy is difficult now, so I can make some money,
Yes.
by using my backyard garden and so on, I have the coconut tree there, you can, as you said, but one of the things I have to say about counseling, Mr. Wilson, is...
but also the impact it has had on your students.
Yes.
Because there are many people listening to you, Mr.
Yeah, that is
Holmes,
what I
now,
want to say.
And they want to... they respect you, and they respect all three of you.
Oh, definitely.
And they will be coming. I'm telling you, tomorrow I will be having some people calling and asking when you're going to run that program or course, these courses again. I have said at the start of the program, come semester 2 in the year 2014-2015, we will have all three of you. I hope we are all fit and well, and high spirits, etc. Because you are already employed for a second semester.
Okay.
But
so the students, sometimes you see, you get more than you bargain for. When I came in and I saw the number of students, I said, wow.
And do you have a diverse group? Because I have to ask Ms. Lee that she said that, because some people may be thinking, what is project now? Project, and she made mention about persons in building or construction are there, as well as persons who
in finance,
and education, etc. So a mixed bag. With the counselor, what type of people do you get there?
We have
people who like to
have
cry with
teachers,
people, or
we have
soppy people. What type of?
Quite a number, diverse. We have teachers, we have nurses, we have managers, we have pastors, we have fire officers, prison officers. It's a wide range of, and it's interesting that, they came together when they first started, as very, unique, meaning that they were by themselves, but you can see that they're meshing together, they're coming together now, because the way we are approaching the introduction to counseling is we are actually doing the case studies, we are actually doing the practice, in class, and then we are using local issues, and we are using, things beyond Dominica. And then local issues, you're talking about the schools. For example, we are talking about, what is being experienced at the St. Martin Secondary School. We are talking about, what is being experienced, what caused people to go to prison. We are talking about what caused in families, breakdown in families, dysfunctional families. So when we do all this, then the people in there, even though you're a manager at a place, then you can say, well, if one of my colleagues or one of my co-workers would come in, with a problem, at least I can talk with that person. The person at the school, they're having problems, with husbands and wives, they have somebody at the school to talk with. You're talking about a fire officer, you go out, on the scene, to put out a fire, and then something happens, then you can actually talk to the person and tell the person, how you should approach it. So it's really helping people to understand what life is all about. And then in the class, I have very interesting people. And there's never a dull moment in the class introduction to counseling. And I wish I could call all the names. I don't want to call any name, but I know there are a couple of them who are really making sure that I am on my P's and Q's,
Yes.
And when you listen to them, that is what makes life, interesting. Every single one of them came to class with a different, life situation, so no two people have the same, but at the same time the skills that they're getting are really helping them understand what life is all about. Because when you're talking about skills, when you're doing practices and so on, one of the things that they need to know, you're talking about different areas, but like with counseling, there's one word we have to think of, confidentiality. If you, the counselor, cannot keep in confidence what a client tells you, you should not be a counselor, period. I mean, there's no two way about it. Because the client depends on you, so the client does not want to, like we have the students in the class, we discuss our situations, life situations. Nobody should go out and say, well, oh, she came to class, she cried, or he cried, and so on, That should not be. That is not counseling. We have to maintain confidentiality.
Yeah, I like what you said there, Mr. Holmes, because I'm smiling when you said confidentiality. It's the kind of statement you see in many Caribbean homes, Dominica being no exception. When you come here, what you see here, let it stay here. What you hear, let it
Exactly.
So that is a counselor. Let us now take a break for sponsors, the University of West Indies.
I'm part of a tough, smart,
Constantly evolving.
never too old to learn community of human beings.
Proud of country.
Proudly Caribbean, global citizens.
With convenient access to over 400 learning programs
Delivered both online and face-to-face.
from the Caribbean's University of First Choice.
My mind,
My life.
my world of possibilities is wide open.
Call, click, or visit the UWI Open Campus.
Now, this has been an education for me. Here I am as program officer at the University of West Indies, responsible for implementing the CPE, that's continuing professional education. Have secured these three very competent tutors. There are others, for example, in the entrepreneurship, we seem to be having a different tutor every 2 weeks.
Yes.
So different persons with skills and competencies in that field have been contributing. You may have some people in finance, specialists in finance. I should make mention of one person who has helped tremendously in this entrepreneurship course, but was unable to come here this evening. That is Mr. Edmund Robinson. Formerly, he was the CEO, you may say, of the ECCB. And I told Erma about using military language, or Mr. Holmes, it may have been ECCB, Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, which is based in
St. Kitts.
St. Kitts, okay, but is the currency, that worthy, reliable currency, the EC dollar, constant with the US dollar, and it should have been adopted by CARICOM. As one person said at one of our distinguished lectures, that the Caribbean, if you travel through the Caribbean, you may have to deal with some 15 different currencies. It's true that the US is king and is used in every one of them. But from Cuba, you may see up there, pesos. Jamaica has its own dollar, Barbados, Trinidad. I mean, Trinidad and Jamaica dollars, we don't spend them here. I don't know. They have not much value in the OECS. But I always feel proud that the EC dollar is king. And it should be adopted. Barbados has its own currency. It's a little more than ours. Cayman Island has a currency that is much more than the US. Well, we spoke about currency and we began with money. Let's continue. I'm going to throw this at you. That is, give you some 2 minutes to not only wrap up, but there's something that is at the back of my head. In terms of project management. And when you said that people involved in construction are in there, and because I believe they really need it.
Yes.
If you have, like Mr. Holmes and others, have built your home, you've dealt with contractors, Dominican contractors, and what I have seen, you pay them money, you know, tranches from time to time, put it in a pocket. They have no recording. They just pay the workers, man. From the laborer to the bricklayer, carpenter, etc. They just pay them.
Right.
How do they keep track? I mean, are those contractors in your course there, or program, are they really coming to grips with that kind of bad practice?
Yes.
Well, good practices.
Right, right.
So tell us.
Well, actually, the contractors, I should say, the construction workers who are in my class, they actually have a different take on it. They actually, these are the seasoned
project managers.
Project managers. So they understand the need
Yes.
for project management in construction. And we've had discussions within the class in terms of how, the experience that's been happening in Dominica in terms of contractors. When they build their homes, they don't give the customer what they want. They don't deliver the goods on time. They don't provide any type of reports. So the construction students, I should say, is a different caliber in my class. They are the seasoned one who understand the need for project management. And
so that's why they're there.
That's why they're there. They want to hone that skill so that they can, continue progress within their that particular profession.
But the only risk I don't like with these contractors, you ask them to build a house, you have a plan, etc., architect, but they do what they want as opposed to what you want sometimes. Anyway.
So even so, I employ, one of the things I would tell folks out there, especially for the client side, that they also need to understand what project management is so that when the contractors come to them, they can say, okay, I need to see your scope of work, what it is that you're going to give me.
Yes.
And then we're going to develop a deadline as to how the monies are going to be distributed. And it's only going to be distributed based on work completed. So that way you avoid the issues that's been happening within the industry. Because right now, unfortunately, we don't have in Dominica an association that actually, a watchdog, I should say, that actually monitors this. So hence, we need to give the client this particular skill set, this discipline, so that they can force the hand of the contractor to do what they need to do.
So your role here is building capacity.
Yes.
I always like to give a little joke because that's what the program is about. We are selling the University of the West Indies, but we need to put some humor in it. There used to be a fella from Newtown. I wouldn't like to call his name. I think his surname was Shillingford, and he was a contractor. So when these fancy hip roofs came into, as opposed to just a up and down roof, and he had difficulty because to place that roof. And he just looked at the workers and he said, Annie Slopely. he used a superlative, but I cannot use on this program. But that was his idea. He turned his back and just tell him, just slope the roof. But he's long dead, Lord bless his soul, and his sons and daughters are my friends. All my sons are boys, he once said. But anyway, thank you very much, Ms. Lee. And I hope, as you said, the impact that it has on this wide gamut of attendees or participants in that program, that they will be fulfilled and we will see better management of whatever projects that are being done in Dominica with time. And probably that body you made mention of, Mr. Isaac. A few tie-up words?
Well, what I would say is definitely entrepreneurship is needed in Dominica. I know we have challenges in terms of job opportunities. So lifelong continuous training is important, and one of it would be to attend, for example, UWI or any other institution, but as we are saying, UWI is the place to be. So yes, so we are saying you need to attend the entrepreneurship program and to sharpen your skills and to make you better plan.
Well, Isaac, I take that on board, and I like that you're promoting. You didn't go to the university, but you are promoting because you are part of the family. You have tutored there for a number of years. Mr. Holmes, I give you 30 seconds because I think everybody has been counseled at home, those listening and hearing.
Yeah, what I would like to say is that, sometimes you have to look at counseling not as, the tool, because it's not something that you can fix overnight. It takes time, And the best way to do counseling, seriously, is to be qualified, to be trained, and then using UWI and doing this, you can show that you actually get the skills that you need to pass on to help others, have a better life to live.
Okay, let me say thank you to our panelists, and please look forward. You see the quality that UWI has for the third Thursday in April, where we'll be with you, University and You. Thank you for listening and viewing.